Hi there, this is Stacey McKibbin, this week we're continuing our dialogue talking about risk assessment. As you know, we've been talking every week a little bit more about how do we assess the risk in our business. And this time what I want to do is take a deeper dive and look at the risk through the lens of human capital and benefits in a business, really looking at kind of the HR side of the house. You know, we've all heard many times before the saying that people are our greatest asset and they're also our greatest expense. So then what are the things that you really need to pay attention to when assessing the risk as it relates to the human capital in your business? So today I'm really excited. I'm joined by Lambert Hsu from Benefit Pro. I'm excited to say he's not only a friend, but he's somebody that I've known for a long time. And so I've had the pleasure of seeing him work for many years. He's been helping companies navigate these murky waters of benefits and compliance for decades. So I've invited him to share his expertise and his thoughts, hopefully, you know, the two of us can shed some light for you on what's really the big areas of exposure that you might be looking at. Because really the goal for us here is once we know what those areas are, then we can actually start to take action to prevent against them, to mitigate them, and to potentially resolve them, to ward them off and make sure we avoid any potential pitfalls. So that's kind of our goal for today. And so Lambert, I'm really excited to have you here. Thank you so much.
Stacey, great to see you.
Perchance you could take just a minute and introduce yourself and tell us a bit about Benefit Pro and what you guys do.
Yeah, absolutely. So we work in the area of employee benefits. And again, this whole conversation is about people, human capital. And one of the things that really becomes a key components of working with employees is going to be their wage and compensation. And the other side is their employee benefits. So we focus on the employee benefits side of the house. What exactly does that mean? So we work with structuring a nice benefits package. I think today more than ever, employees are looking and saying, okay, well, I understand the salary structure. That seems fair. What are your benefits? And then you kind of go, okay, what am I supposed to say? So the benefits, of course, need to be competitive. We work on making sure that the benefits that you provide to your employees are what the employees are wanting, that they are scalable in terms of being able to offer the things that from a smaller employer to a larger employer, and we make sure that things are in compliance and well communicated to the employees. I think that's one of the things. Companies spend a lot of money on employee benefits, but oftentimes there's not a lot of appreciation of the benefits. And in SHRM studies, which is the Society of Human Resource Management, they've kind of come back to talk about if you take medium benefits and you don't communicate it well, it's going to be considered to be a low value. If you take medium benefits and you communicate it well, it will be communicated as high value. So the way that you communicate does make a big difference.
Well, and it's interesting that people are going to be surprised to know that not everybody considers, you know, money or healthcare as the quintessential benefits, right? I think that benefits take many different shapes and forms these days. And that's some of the stuff that we'll get to explore. And especially for smaller businesses who maybe, you know, are looking at doing that sometime soon, but aren't necessarily in that place yet. It's still a great time to be thinking about it and preparing because, again, a benefits package is really what attracts that top talent that you'll be looking for to really take your business forward.
Yes. And this whole conversation is about risk mitigation. So, you know, part of it is, okay, I've got a business, I want to take a look at risk. It's pretty clear what workers' comp is, et cetera, liability insurance. But what about employee benefits? You know, what is it doing for me, the company owner? And really what it's doing is because these benefits really benefit the employee, what it's really doing is helping in a couple of different areas. Number one, we're always competing for the good talent, the best talent. And again, like the earlier statement, they want to know what are the benefits that's going to be offered to me. So having a good benefit structure reassures the employee that I'm working for an employer that does care about me and my family. I know that especially as I get older or I have a family, that benefits are important. So being able to attract and retain good talent is a real key part of managing a good and offering a good employee benefits package. On the other side, what is the risk? Well, if I've got some good employees, the risk would be that, well, my employees might be leaving and going to another job because they offer benefits and I don't. And again, you see a higher turnover with companies that do not offer benefits versus companies that do offer benefits. But I know that especially as an entrepreneur, as an entrepreneur, you don't get there overnight to that point where you can offer benefits because offering benefits can be fairly expensive. people might be thinking, well, what is benefits going to cost? Generally, a general rule of thumb is going to be about 15 to 20% of payroll costs. So if your margins are really thin, you might not be at that point yet. But when you get to that point, it would be something that from a risk management standpoint, I want to protect my business because I've invested in these employees and they're good at the work that they do. They develop the contacts with all of our customers and clients. And if I lose those people, that would be a big risk. And that's where you would take a look and say, maybe what I need to do is offer a benefits program, and then they're more likely to stay.
Right. And I think be flexible to different types of benefits opportunities, right? I think, again, it doesn't all look the same. So and even small businesses can find ways to be able to take advantage of some of those things. They just have to start to talk to their resources and figure out how to do that. Even professional employer organizations in some ways can help folks like that to come together to get kind of that group buying sort of benefits, right? If they're not big enough.
Yeah. And some of the decisions would be, well, how robust of a package do we go? And sometimes you got to take a look and say, well, what are my competitors doing? And it can kind of be defined by industry space. So, I mean, if you're an architect firm, an engineer firm, or a biotech firm, your competition would be the Googles of the world, the Pfizers of the world, and they have very robust benefits. So you have to make sure that your benefits look very similar to theirs, that you've got medical, that you've got dental, that you've got vision insurance and disability insurance and retirement plans, and on and on and on. If you own a hair salon or, a smaller type of operation, and that's a non-professional setting. Let's say that you repair automobiles or something of that sort as a mechanic shop. A lot of your competitors probably don't offer benefits, and if they do offer benefits, it's probably just a base medical plan. Because even in the scope of medical plans, you've got inexpensive plans, they're called bronze plans. You got the middle range plans like the silver and the gold plans, and then you've got the platinum plans or rich plans. And again, offering benefits, but the type of benefits within that spectrum of richness kind of could even depend on the industry sector that you're in. Bottom line is that you want to protect your business by keeping your good employees with you and to be able to attract the right employees so that you can continue to scale and grow. And knowing what your competition is doing is important. And we help with that because we do benchmarking.
I hadn't even thought about that. That's brilliant. I mean, again, as you go out and you think about what you need to do, look around and seeing what other people are doing. Because again, they're the ones that are going to be taking your best employees. So yeah. That's a great idea. So when you and I were preparing for this, we had talked about, kind of breaking down this conversation into two parts, right? One with businesses with benefits and those without. Let's talk about, businesses with benefits. And what we mean is those businesses right now who currently have a benefits program that they're offering. What are some of the things that you're talking to your clients about as it relates to how do they manage the risk associated with that?
Yeah, so what you want to do, again, is going back to the earlier statement about being able to communicate effectively the robustness of your benefits. So number one, we're going to make sure we've got a rich benefit structure. Number two, we want to make sure that it's affordable. So, for example, a benefits broker like ourselves, we would shop the whole market for you. There's no cost to do that particular assessment, but we come back and let you know what all the choices are. And then the next decision would be, there's the rates in terms of what the plan costs, but the company doesn't have to bear the entire cost of the benefits. So typically the cost of the benefits might be split between the employer and the employee. So maybe you're working for a company and the company is paying most of your medical insurance, and maybe to participate though, you're still paying $20 a paycheck or $40 a paycheck. Every company has different levers that they pull to make that number work for their particular budget. But we would, for example, make sure that it's going to be a nice offering, but yet still be affordable. And then being able to communicate that so that there's value. So the other things that you would also consider is making sure that it's administrated, because you don't want to say, okay, we got a benefits plan, but be bogged down with a lot of administration. My understanding is that we're mostly dealing with smaller employers here. You don't have a full-time HR staff who's going to handle the benefits. So we use online technology and online technology systems to simplify the enrollment. And honestly, today, I think the employees are expecting online enrollment systems. I mean, it's, if you, on your first day of work, you're sitting down and you're given a stack of paperwork and said, oh, here's your benefits, fill this out. You could spend half the morning just filling out your social security name on 6 different forms. So online enrollment makes sense. Plus, it also tells the new hire that, oh, I'm with a company that's pretty advanced. They're doing all this paperless. So making sure the right benefits are offered, that it's affordable, that it's communicated and administered in a way that it's most efficient for the employee and the employer are the first places that we would explore. On the back end, there's things like compliance, and a good brokerage firm would help assist with making sure that the compliance is all taken care of. Most of the compliance, though, would be as the company starts to grow. Let me give you an example. If you get to 20 employees, you would fall under something called a federal COBRA law. Basically, it means that if someone has an employee benefits program in place, and if they decide to leave, they can keep it with them. It is an employer responsibility, but again, companies under 20 don't have to work with COBRA. So there are additional responsibilities of being a company that offers employee benefits. And again, a good broker service like Benefit Pro would help manage all that for you. But make sure that you do get help in this particular area, because there's a lot of I's that need to be dotted and T's that need to be crossed.
That's what I was just going to say. That sounds like one of the risks is doing it yourself, right? I mean, if you're trying to, save a couple of pennies, you might actually be, pound foolish by trying to do that, because you might be creating more risk for yourself and therefore greater liability and greater cost if it's not done properly.
Yeah, interestingly, working with a benefits broker doesn't cost any money, because if you did all the research yourself and try to put it together yourself, the rates from the insurance companies would be the same. Plus, you'd have to pay for the administration costs and the compliance help. So a good brokerage firm, you're going to get the exact same rates as doing all the work yourself, and you won't have to pay for the extra for the administration.
Well, that right there is a huge win already, right? So now talk about, what if you don't have benefits? What are some of the risks that those companies need to look about, other than obviously like the loss of top talent?
Yeah, and it's real, especially in a tight labor market. And I know conditions change with the economy all the time, but I think without question, here's what happens. You have a lot of entry-level employees. They just want to get a job. They're with you for some time, and they get really good at what they do. They get to a point where some of these employees become your A players, your indispensable employees. As these employees also get older, they get into relationships, maybe they get married, they start having children, and now the insurance becomes higher on their radar of things, not, I wish I had insurance, but I need to have insurance. I need to have benefits. So their needs are going to change, and it typically is going to be your managers, your higher end people that you might consider to be your A players that need that. So of course you can continue to work without that. Sometimes those A players, they might have a spouse where the coverage is offered through the spouse. So you might be okay. But if you continue to scale, you're going to realize that benefits are going to be important for you. So again, it's just, I think for most part, it's an evolution of where we are in the business cycle as we go from being an entrepreneur to a business that is larger, more established, more medium size. And when you start getting to that point, benefits for most industries is going to be a big part of the equation.
So let's talk about the 7 things that employers need to know, right? You've done a great job, I think, of getting ahead of things as far as the coronavirus is concerned and some of the, the issues that we're facing today, right?
Yeah.
And I don't think that these things are going to change anytime in the near future. I mean, obviously they will get better over time, but I think companies need to be thinking about this on a longer term scale. So as you start to think about that, and you did a great job kind of listing out the 7 things that employers need to know. Do you want to take us through that and give us your thoughts on, where are the highlights? What are the things we need to pay attention to most?
Yeah, I think more and more the employer workplace is going to be different moving forward from this coronavirus. As an employer, we have to take responsibility for keeping our workers safe. And safety includes infection of coronavirus from other employees. So although someone might go to the beach or wherever they go, because again, they closed all the parks, I'm not sure where people are getting this, but concerts, baseball games, I can't believe we lost March Madness. But bottom line is that, yeah, we're in a different space now where coronavirus and exposure to coronavirus is a fear that most people have today, and we have to address that. So the big question is that we have employees, they come in and out of the office every day or come in and out of the factory workhouse. What if one of the employees comes down with coronavirus? This is not something like any other illness like flu where you just send them home and wait for a doctor's note or until they're better to come back. There's going to be a series of stages that you want to take, and a lot of this is going to be developed by the CDC. But if Johnny calls you and says, I've got coronavirus, what do you do? Is the big question. So, the question is, well, what do I say to my employees? You don't want to scare your employees, but at the same time, you are legally required to tell your employees that one of the team members, and you can't use Johnny's name because there are laws on HIPAA and privacy that basically says that you need to protect their private information because this is medical information. Small companies, though, they're going to know who it was, but just do not repeat the name. So go on from there, and you want to show that that you are a company that cares about the employees, because communication is going to impact culture, bottom line. So you want to be very careful about how you let them know. But for your safety, we want to make sure that anyone who's worked within this area, that you want to send them home because they have possible exposure. So we just want to play it safe. You want to make sure that they don't walk away thinking I've got coronavirus now or COVID-19. There's a possible exposure. We've completely cleaned the area, but we need you to go home and shelter for 14 days. So you want to be proactive and making sure that they're going home and that they don't spread it to anybody else. Now, there's a lot of different things that happen. Hopefully none of those people did come down with coronavirus, and after 14 days, they're not showing any symptoms or signs. It's probably safe to bring them back. But you might have other people who are scared to come back. What do you do in those types of situations? So there's a lot of different things that, you need to watch for in the case that you do have employees who do come down with coronavirus. And again, on our website, we do have that information at benefitpro.com, and look under blogs. And it kind of goes into a lot of the different things that you can do to also to do the sanitation procedures to prevent the transmission at the workplace. And what would you do if your employees refuse to come to work? One of the things that we recently heard was, I think this happened at Amazon, where some employees striked. They said, I don't want to go back. There's coronavirus in the workplace. And of course, you're running a business. You can't just simply have your employees not come in. So again, there's a lot of moving parts there. But if you have questions on that, of course, feel free to contact us and we can help guide you.
Well, that's great, because again, I think this is going to change, right? With all new sensitivities that continue to come out and new use cases that continue to present themselves, I think, there's going to be new ways to handle things. I think the main thing that you're talking about here is keep your eyes open, lead with your heart, but, be responsible and make sense.
Yes.
And, I appreciate you putting the offer out there for folks to circle back. And I encourage anybody to reach out to the team at Benefit Pro. They've always been incredibly helpful, and just even answering questions as you need them. And I know that I found tons of resources on their website as well. So I highly recommend that. If anybody wanted to reach out to you and get more information or to find out more, certainly they can go to your website. Is there any place else that you would send them, or?
Yeah, you can call us directly at 619-294-7800. We're a locally based business right here in San Diego.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, good. Well, again, thank you so much, Lambert. I really appreciate your time today. It's always a pleasure to sit down and hear your thoughts. And thank you so much for leading the charge on this. And we appreciate your time. And I'm sure people will be in touch.
My pleasure, Stacey. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Take care.